Welcome to Goodin Dissertation Coach with me, Dr. Joel B. Goodin. I wanted to discuss some resources you might want to have available to you in addition to all the video tutorials I provide on my YouTube channel and podcast form as well. For many of those resources and documents that I can give you, I want to tell you what the university offers. We have an academic success center. If you go somewhere else, you're likely to have a similar type of organization within your university system that helps students that need help beyond what a chair or a subject matter expert or somebody on your committee might have time to allocate to you. Maybe it's very basic writing skills that you need to develop. The Academic Success Center has these resources, and I'm glad to give you this document. But I wanted to show it to you and explain it, talk you through it quickly. They do offer services that are mentioned here and here. Services, self-directed resources that you can do on your own time, in the middle of the night, whenever. But they also have the opportunity to ask a coach or to be involved in a group coaching session. You can contact them. They have a page to visit, opportunity to chat with them, submitting a question to ask a coach, or even to email them or text them at this number here if it's North Central University or national. In terms of basics, we're going to get into APA. So these are some of the foundational things that you will need, and a lot of students struggle with very basic things like APA style writing, APA guidelines, and then just basics of writing in general, especially scholarly writing. So they can work with you on those things, the basics of APA, paragraph development, properly paraphrasing, mechanics drive in, building strong writing skills, and then scholarly writing is sort of that step of like, okay, you've got the grammar well written, but is it scholarly? Not necessarily. It can be grammatically correct, but still not be to the level of scholarly writing where it sounds like it should go in a dissertation or a journal article. That's a different type of speaking, which most people find to be a bit boring. So, but it does what it's supposed to do, which is to present information without this emotional push behind it, without flowery writing, just the facts, ma'am, sort of approach to writing. It's sort of stoic, but it's meant to get straight to the point of here's the research, here's the finding. And there are parts in scholarly writing where you do get to provide your own opinion and interpretation of things. Those come a little bit later, normally in chapters 4 and 5 of a dissertation. But until the end of chapter 4 and then within chapter 5, you don't really get to do a whole lot of here's what I think. But once you've reached that stage, it's pretty cool because you get to sort of show off your abilities that you've learned. You've done all this work, and now you get to speak more and more like the PhD or other type of doctor that you're becoming. So in chapter 1, they work with you on skills, writing scholarly introductions, and there are links for each of these. Writing scholarly introductions, problem and purpose statements, quantitative or qualitative research design, and figuring out what exactly a design is. It's a type of quantitative approach, or it's a type of qualitative approach. In chapter 2, you would have access to training in synthesis and analysis, analyzing research. Synthesizing research is very important, and I would add critiquing research. If they don't offer that, you can reach out to me. I believe I have a video on that already. So use these in conjunction with what I've already provided in my tutorials. Outlining scholarly writing so that you have a plan and sort of a process. And then the theory or conceptual framework, which actually in chapter 2, the way we have it set up now, you'll talk about the framework before you get into the full literature review. In chapter 3, we're going to talk about the qualitative or quantitative research design, not just at the basic level, broad strokes that you mentioned it in chapter 1, But in chapter 3 we go into much more detail, explaining explicitly in a very detailed way, here are all the steps you're going to take to plan out and then to implement the study that you intend to do. They can answer questions like, what is a variable? Talk to you about fundamentals of a COC-DOS. Like in vivo, a COC-DOS is a computer-assisted qualitative data analysis software. It's a hard word, so CAQDAS. In vivo is one that we currently offer for free, I believe, but that's something to check on for whenever you watch this video. And then there are also other free options that might or might not be as good, so you can always look into those options. If you're doing a quantitative study, you'll want to maybe get involved with an introduction to SPSS. In chapter 4 we're going to continue some of those same things. In vivo, next steps, SPSS, types of tests that you're doing. And chapter 4, this is written in chapter 5, writing statistical results. You're actually this should be pulled over into this section. Chapter 4 is where you write the results in a very stoic manner. You don't say what you think of the results. You simply say, here are the results, whether it's qualitative, but especially if it's quantitative. You don't say, and I'm so excited, or anything like that. You just simply present the evidence and present the conclusions that you can make statistically if it's quantitative, and if it's qualitative, the evidence, sort of the themes or whatever evidence you've seen for those themes in that qualitative analysis. And so you present those results with that evidence, and then in the late chapter 4, and then especially more in chapter 5, you get to actually have an opinion for yourself. And you've missed that because most of grad school, especially the master's and especially the PhD, you don't get to have much of an opinion. But it's in the last of chapter 4, and then especially in chapter 5, where we start saying, you know, you're almost there. You're almost a PhD or an EDD or whatever you're working on. And now we want to hear what you have to say. You've done all this work so far. You've presented the results. So tell us what they mean. A little bit in chapter 4 you have an evaluation of findings and sort of how it compares to the chapter 2 lit review that you did. But especially in chapter 5 you have an implication section where you get to sort of be very rational and logical and present a case, but it's coming from your own mind based on all that you've done, the lit review, the methods, planning the study, implementing the study, and now here's your interpretation of the findings from the study based on everything you've learned along the way. And so that's when you really get to, for the first time, sort of start to become that doctor, and start to play that role. And that is something you should really enjoy, because that's sort of evidence that you're making it. You're almost there. You can see the horizon, the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what happens more in chapter 5. If you're looking for statistical results, this is again going to be more in chapter 4. But writing in general, writing resources by topic are another thing that they offer, and then statistic resources by topic. And then here you can just go to explore the ASC. Again, I'm going to finalize Goodin Dissertation Coach for today by saying these are academic success center resources that you should use in tandem, complementary or supplementary to what I've provided. Your chair may not have provided the tutorials that I've provided to you, or you may not like my tutorials, or they may not sort of fit with your dissertation. In those cases, reach out to things like this. The Academic Success Center, here to help. Thank you. This has been Dr. Joel B. Goodin with Goodin Dissertation Coach.